came here to prove no tricks in the room, just hands on the board and a clear way through. You bring your best line, I bring my best move. No cheap little win, just something we can build. Lock eyes, take your place, let the crowd make room. One league, one name, and we all rise up. Fair fight, we stand together. Fair fight, we build it better. Win with your heart, win with your proof. Fair fight, that's what we do. We trade what we know, we teach what we find. A hand for the new, a seat on the line. From first time to champs, we grow side by side. No one gets left out, no one stays behind. Lock eyes, take your place, let the crowd make room. One league, one name, and we all rise up. Fair fight, we stand together. Fair fight, we build it better. Win with your heart, win with your proof. Fair fight, that's what we do. Before we stay, if you win, we cheer. Every round we learn, every voice gets near. No throne, no gate, just an open door. What we make right here can always be more. Fair fight, we stand together. Fair fight, we build it better. Win with your heart, win with your proof. Fair fight, that's what we do. Fair fight, hands up, come through. Fair fight, this league is you. I got a full little team, and they look up at me. Big eyes, tiny feet, trusting me. I open the vault and I feel that sting. Why is the only move a cruel kind of win? You say take the prize, but I see the loss. Every extra soul is a cost I won't toss. They follow my hand like it's home, like it's safe. I won't send them back just to gamble their fate. I won't trade them, I won't trade them. I care too much to trade them. I won't break them, I won't break them. Give me something else to make them shine. Something kind. Let me build them a place, let me train, let me grow. Let me match them in pairs, let them learn, let them glow. Let me feed what I save, let me heal what I keep. Let me use all this love for something deep. You say one more run could change my night, but I hear their names when you call that fight. So if there's a path I can walk in grace, show me a way I can honor their place. I won't trade them, I won't trade them. I care too much to trade them. I won't break them, I won't break them. Give me Let me give them room. Let me turn all this strength into something they can bloom. Not a deathmatch prize, not a losing game, just a future where they still know my name. I won't trade them, I won't trade them. I care too much to trade them. I won't break them, I won't break them. Give me something else to make them shine, something kind. I won't trade them. I won't trade them. Keep my Illuvials alive.
Alright, hello, welcome everybody back to This Week in Illuvium. We've got all of the news surrounding Illuvium and its universe of games. It's been a little bit of a quieter week, but there's still a bunch that we can go for, and especially a couple of the topics have the potential for maybe a little bit of solid impact here, especially the one in particular in regards to Obelisk Rising. We had seen last week they had dropped an announcement. We'll go over all of that and a little bit more. Of course, all of our usual topics as well, going over the arena meta, what seems to be popping off a little bit. We'll follow up with the RattyData event, what's been going on with Ratty and their weekly tournament, their sit-ins, and see who's potentially lining up for the monthly top 8. We'll also go over all the deathmatch statistics, how many Illuvials have we lost in the last 7 days. We'll go over the leaderboards, of course, since we are right around the corner from Snapshot once again. We'll go over the top sales for Illuvium land sales alongside the Illuvials themselves as well over the last 7 days. Quick update on the community rescue, and then an update on House League. Of course, House League got a rework, and then House League prizing from last week. We'll open all of that as well in this episode, of course. Good to see everybody on the YouTube front. Here we do have Silver Bushman, Big Man JB, Ethan, Awaken. I was gonna say Awake Darkness again. I should know better. Awaken, good to see you. Monster, good to see you all. Hope everybody is having a fantastic day. As always, as we're going through the news, you may notice there's the chat boxes in the bottom left-hand corner. I did something a little bit different over the last day here. We are back on Twitch as well. So YouTube and Twitch are going to be happening at the exact same time here. Pick your platform of choice. I have absolutely no preference as to either. I'm just happy that you're here. So, interesting to be back on the two platforms once again. Looking forward to seeing if anybody shows up on the Twitch side of things. I haven't necessarily built that channel just yet, but I like to give everybody options and might as well. So our first topic again for today, we saw this at the very beginning of Illuvium Arena House League, But there was, of course, a little bit of news dropped in regards to the Illuvium Rising, the Obelisk Rising playtest. So this just got dropped by Rich. It would have been on Friday, right before he went live. And this is in regards to Obelisk Rising, of course, the big Illuvium MMO that everybody is very, very interested in seeing how this is being developed, possibly being a part of the playtest. Because unfortunately here for the developers, this is essentially the core piece to the entire Illuvium universe. And if the adventure of Obelisk Rising doesn't end up being good, then we might not be open come like 2028. But the last playtest, there's definitely some solid fundamentals there, and it looks like it's based off of the leaks that things have been essentially just a nice steady upward trajectory. And with that, the playtest is, or public playtest, or we would call this public, but there's a playtest coming on through. We knew it was coming in August. There is still no specific date for it, but I imagine it's getting closer since we do see announcements like this. Of course, the closed alpha playtest is, and the applications are now out. They've been out on X for a little bit, but you can do it again here. But it does actually break down a little bit as to what we can expect in this playtest. And first and foremost, it's going through 2 phases here. So it's going to be a smaller start to get things going here with phase 1. Of course, we see here it's basically just strictly there to find the bugs, improving the gameplay, and just refining. And this one's going to be a little bit harder in terms of the testing side of things. But then there's going to be phase 2, where it expands the player group or the player base to a much larger amount. And that should be rather interesting, considering they're also going to be getting the dungeons and the raids, I believe, or they're possibly the same things. But the 4-player raid tests was brought up here by Rich in this post in particular. We've probably seen in the Discord. It's not been something that's been showcased, I believe, on the Illuvium channels in particular. Like, you can't go onto YouTube and see it. But there has been the occasional Discord stream from Perry and Rich in particular, doing some of these dungeon and these boss fights. So we'll get to take them on ourselves as a part of this playtest. I know personally, if I happen to get lucky and get into the playtest, I do not want to make the same mistake. In the last playtest, I never got to try the raid boss, so I want to make sure that I would do it this time by. And then some raid related questions here as well. But the expectations is that you're going to be having a bunch of time to just crush the game out as best as possible. Maybe even do multiple run-throughs, maybe multiple playthroughs, trying to get that start to finish kind of experience and get as many bugs squashed as possible. One thing that is interesting as well, though, they do note that it sounds like that they're not actually opposed to people necessarily making content around it. So that makes it a little bit interesting, not just for myself, but anybody on the outside looking in, maybe to try and come and get an early scoop. That is absolutely something I'll be interested in. If we do have the opportunity to stream the playtest, that will probably take up the priority and the majority of my streams for the weeks that the playtest is live. However, of course, This Week in Illuvium, as well as Illuvium Arena House League, would still be untouched. I'd make sure that we still have those going for sure. G-Amster, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Now, in regards to the application, if you did want to apply to Phase 1 in particular, the link, I believe, is in the description of the stream here on the YouTube side of things. So, that is there if you want to get a quick link into it. I imagine majority of you probably have applied already. It's also on the Obelisk Rising X page, if I recall correctly. So that'll be the one of the 2 ways that you can get into Obelisk Rising. But it's a pretty exciting start here because we are right around the corner, it sounds like, from the playtest. I absolutely am looking forward to this. But Duel, good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I had to run quickly and do this stream so I can stop taking the massive beating that you were giving me during Arena earlier. My goodness, mate, you're absolutely correct. In a good way, of course. Next thing on the docket is going to be going over the Illuvium Arena. Before we get to the meta in particular, I do want to talk about the actual RattyData Tournaments that have been going on. Of course, the RattyData Tournaments, there's a little bit of an entry fee in the form of a purchasable ticket, if I recall correctly. But every single week, players are playing for fuel as prizes, while at the same time trying to get themselves qualified for a monthly finale. The top 8 over the entirety of the month end up getting into the final. So if I take a look at the last weekly session that happened, I believe it was yesterday, we do see Hector from Mad Dogs actually taking this one. 2 points over Bart from Atlas, and then Texan, Badul, Wolverine 777 hyped to round up the top 5. But we do also see some people here scooping up some prizes here as well. Druknyen, 21 Knight, and Droa and Thanatos picking up $5 into their account for fuel. Hector getting the big one there with 25. The Rangers are ready, absolutely. You're available for everyone's fire team? Hell yeah, everyone's just super excited, absolutely. Then in regards to the monthly, let's see how it stands as of this moment. Everybody above this cut line down at the bottom, making it into the event as it stands right now. Hector going to be leading the charge over Bart, Wolverine, and Droa. Texan, Badul, Druknyen, and 21 Knight. On the outside looking in, and potentially, in case somebody no-shows for the top 8, if it were to end right now, we have Zyfed, Nariba, Monster, Nokacho, Thanatos, Surfer Dude, all probably within striking distance. I mean, Denohype probably within striking distance as well. Lars and Balian Ranger would definitely need a little bit of a miracle, in my opinion, to make it on up there. That is a lot of points. It's a lot of game days to have to try and catch up for. But never say die. I still got about half a month here left. It's only the 12th, so we've got plenty of time. The next session for the weekly is actually going to be in 3 days, it looks like. So Saturday will be your playtime for that if you want to grind out some matches and get some points and potentially get yourself qualified for the top 8 for the monthly finale. Now, in regards to Arena, there hasn't been a patch since last week, but that's a-okay. The game itself has been feeling pretty good, at least in my opinion, but I know some people still have some problem with crashes and stuff every once in a while, which definitely is definitely frustrating. But in terms of the balance itself, we can absolutely take a look and see what have our top performers been in the Illuvium Arena over the last couple of days or so, thanks to, of course, the Illuvi Vaults. Thank you, Linky, for the page here to get all of our data. First and foremost, there's about 151 of us currently still playing matches over the last couple of weeks. And in terms of top teams, Behemoth Inferno seems to be back on top. Just, again, hard to hit synergy, but if you can hit it, it is absolutely devastating. Behemoth's still right near the top, and that is with a 69% win rate. I could not make this up. We've got first and second with a 69-6-7 in terms of win rates. That's kind of funny. The second in command here seems to be Berserker or Toxic Berserkers, with a mixture of Behemoth added in there as well, it looks like. With Seer and Jotun finding lots of playtime in our top 2 as of this moment. We then have in third place Steam Harbinger with a little bit of Toxic still going to be in here. This is your heavy water build, but being able to get that Aqua Blaster, get the Mammoth fully evolved as possible, and relying on that Umber, relying on Dual F as well, just for consistent casts all over the place, can be quite crazy. The more hyper-aggressive way to do that is with the Mud side of things. Mud Berserker. It seems like this is the only way nowadays that you can actually play Mud competitively. The big power spike that we would used to get from the 4 Muds now does not seem to hit anywhere near as hard and carry anywhere near as hard as it used to. However, that all changes if you can land the Rip Lance, get the Berserker online, so 3 Berserkers. God forbid you get a chip of some sort as well, and you can be absolutely crushing it. So Mud still showing its face here as a top team, number 4 currently this week. Checking out the are catching up to the chat here. No tournaments work for your schedule. I know, big man, you're constantly working, so I definitely understand that that frustration. We've got the 6-7s called out. Ruben, good to see you. Axe, good to see you. Right back on point. The 6-7 coming on through. I see yous. I see yous. Number 5 is Behemoth once again. I swear to God, there's lots of Behemoth coming on through. This time it's not 3 though. It's Wildfire mixed in with the Ranger as the other Behemoth user, just with Jotun. We do see Vanguards. There's our rogues right in the top 10, but showing up as number 6 as of this moment. Specifically the Verdant Vanguard variant. Shock Invoker somehow showing its face up onto the 7th position here with a 50% win rate. And then everything else at this point here does not have above 50%, but still to kind of take a look, we do see our first heavy nature teams coming through this time, with Verdant Aegis Templar, or Verdant Templar rather, and then Bloom Enchanter and Steam Vanguard, all going to be coming on through to finish out our top 10. But if you're looking for things above 50% or higher, the biggest things that seem to be kind of running away with the game right now tend to be on the Behemoth side of things. So your fighters, your Behemoth, whether it be the Inferno variant or something different, seem to be doing very, very well. The Behemoth stun is very hard to deal with, absolutely, especially, God forbid, if a composite chip comes through and you get the Behemoth chip. Then you can do some really stupid stuff, like putting a Behemoth chip onto your Scoriox, or putting a Behemoth chip onto a Fernite or a Blazonite. And you just have a ranged stun that is, or like a consistent ranged stun. That's absolutely obnoxious to try and deal with. And then, of course, the Ranger themselves, they're technically, if you have them set up as a Behemoth, that's a ranged stun as well, on top of the Denial Protocol if you happen to have that Boomerang. So you can very well get just absolutely crushed by crowd control. And currently for Big Man, their team's at about a 70% win rate. Very, very nice. Keep it going. And then Reem running Fighter Behemoth. It seems really fun. It definitely does. And seems to be performing rather well. Now let's take a look at the weapons over on, or I was going to say my right side, but it's right here in the red on the right side of the screen. And see the weapons that currently have the highest win rates when picked up by the Ranger. Oddly enough, Lava Gauntlet has gotten quite the spike actually since its latest buffs, where a lot of their upgrades ended up getting a buff. So Lava Gauntlet going to be our number 1 current weapon here with a 16% win rate, followed very shortly behind the Rogues. Vinebound Cleaver still getting a ton of success here, of course the Verdant Vanguard style. Aqua Blaster, whether it be Mass Water or something like the Steam Harbinger like we're seeing in the number 3 slot, maybe something in the mud as well, still going to be right up there as well. So 14% win rate if you're picking up the Aqua Blaster. Strike Boomerang, to no surprise, is up here as well. In fact, I'm surprised it's not higher given the strength of Behemoths, but with so many people rushing the Strike Boomerang, maybe some people are just unfortunately getting left out a little bit. Tempest Lance, this thing used to be one of the worst weapons in the game. It's now going to break the top 5 with 13% win rate alongside the Galewind Blow. I mean, it is air, so fair enough. But Galewind Bow coming on through here in the 6th place this time by. Elderwood Staff for those Mass Nature Aegis teams coming on through in 7th. Tidal Shiv, the 2 rogue weapons coming through here. Tidal Shiv and Quake Maulers, 8th and 9th with 11% win rates. And then Ember Bastion used to be one of the worst weapons in the game as well, moving up in the 10th. The worst weapons in the game, as it stands right now, seems to be the Ripple Flail, oddly enough being labeled as the worst weapon in the game, with the Flamewarden Staff short to follow, even though the Flamewarden Staff got a handful of buffs, oddly enough. Grove Sword, Shadow Maul, also being on this list with 9 and 8% win rates respectively. And then my beloved Emberling Rod, they say that they made a bug fix to actually make it so that the second proc of Emberling Rod happens more often. I couldn't I couldn't tell you. It still behaves just as inconsistently as ever. And with that, it will be falling down tremendously. Even though when this thing works, it works beautifully. It's one of the best weapons in the game in terms of damage. But the thing is that damage just never freaking comes out. So with that, understandable that it's fallen so low. A couple additional odd notes here as well. The Sprout Guard. This was at one point the best weapon in the game for a long time, but the nerfs definitely knocked it down a peg. And then Sylphid Blade, which is a common mud weapon, is kind of shown as middle of the road, but you need it to truly capitalize on this 4 mud style. In terms of the augments that are finding the most amount of win rate, I do want to quickly take a peek over that. It's just over my head here on the right side. Let me kill the hover real quick. There we go. So the tessellating Omega Reactor. So the first time I think I've seen an Omega augment lead the charge on this chart. So the one where you're getting the energy every single auto attack coming on through. Hyperforce Reactor is still going to be up here apparently though, where you're getting the attack speed after every single attack. Nerf after nerf, it does not matter. Phase Breaking Impact Reactor, that untargetability is still just too damn valuable. But I will say this, there is a little bit more impact felt, I do believe, with the Phase Breaker now. Because the untargetability is so short, there are a lot of times in big clumped up fights where the untargetability will come out and my opponent's Illuvials will just kind of wander around for a second, but they don't get far enough to the point where when the untargetability finishes, that they go attack something else. They usually turn right back around and start attacking it again. So this has been maybe a little bit less valuable in certain circumstances, but can still absolutely find its value, especially on like an Umber or something along those lines. The Charge Force Reactor, just the raw DPS output increase, is going to be in number 4. Then we are going to see a handful of tank augments finishing up our top 7. The Resurging Stasis Reactor, where you're getting healing based off of your max health every couple of seconds. That's going to be 5th. The Poison and Burning, the healing reduction coming out from the Radiating Impact Reactor, going to make it up to 6th. The raw HP increase for the Dense Stasis Reactor going up. Cascading, where when you're getting targeted, you get more resistances. That's showing up here as well. And then the Arcane Omega Reactor and Primal Omega Reactor both making it into the top 10. So one thing, or 2 notable misses then, on this current augment list, is the Restorating Impact Reactor, where you would get healed and resistances after every kill. That's not there. The Overflowing Impact Reactor, where you would get these shields at 40% HP. Those were staples, and now they are no longer on the list, at least over the last couple of days. So an interesting fact coming on through here. Then very quickly, I want to take a look at the suits and the drone augments in particular. So the Staggering Strike, this thing got buffed in the last patch, where it's the augment where you take an attack speed reduction, but every single one of your hits does a percentage amount of your opponent's max health as damage, plus stunning. So this has actually gotten to the point where the king of suits has finally been taken down. The Hunter's Precision going to be in 2nd. Explosive Tempo going to still be in 3rd, even though it did get nerfed. The Healing Tether going to be in 4th, where you get a certain amount of healing once you drop to a certain level. And then last but not least, Deadeye's Wrath going to be 5th. In terms of the top drone augments, Veterans Might just seems to be king as of right now. Whether you're trying to go for Scoriox, whether you're trying to go for Umber, these can absolutely supercharge those Illuvials, and people who go for it have that exactly in mind, and that 32 and 30% win rate is going to come in through big time. Solid Start, where you just become invulnerable for 3 seconds right off the rip, is still going to be 3rd. Still a very, very valuable one when you get those 3 seconds. The offensive boosts are then going to round up the top 5 in this case. A couple other notable ones through the board here as well is Fortress Protocol 1 seems to be doing pretty well whenever it's just stage 1 drones. The defensive upgrade is oddly enough going to be in 8th as well. Never thought too highly of that one, but it seems to be doing okay. Then the critical strikes, allowing your units to have more crit damage and critical chance. And then the Arcane Barrier is going to be the final drone augment that makes our top 10 list. So the one thing that I will note off the rip here, we are not seeing the drone augment that has converts a bit of HP into Omega Power. That has not made the top 10 for the first time in a little while here. So that's very odd and interesting to see. But again, big thank you to Illuvial for having the up-to-date, not patch notes, but the up-to-date team compositions here for this one in regards to the comps, in regards to the weapons. Thank you again, Linky, for all of the data. Quickly catching up with chat here. It seems fourth seems to be your position at this point. Hey, that's a positive. That's still +1 to the good. Can't go wrong with that. Hey man, one with the Ripple Flail yesterday against a Behemoth. There you go. Breaking the mold, aren't you here, big man? Very, very nice. Illuvium Arena will have a Steam version. I wonder if this will help or harm the crypto version. Now, here's the thing. Oddly enough, that was actually going to be something I was going to talk about here. So, we did get the drop, the actual name drop. So, on Steam, there is a game called Primal Tactica. And Primal Tactica is basically, if anybody has been around for a while and remembers survival mode in the Illuvium Arena, where it was not up against another player, but it was just a PvE experience. Kind of like a puzzle solver of sorts, where certain Illuvials would be, you'd be going up against them, and you had to beat that team with as little value of Illuvials as possible, and you essentially tried to get a high score of how many rounds you can get. Primal Tactica is basically going to be taking that idea and just amping it up to 11. The thing that I'm personally happy about, first off, I missed Survival. That was basically my tutorial into Illuvium Arena. Miss it dearly. I'm happy that it's coming back. But two, this has absolutely nothing to do with the PvP aspect of Illuvium Arena. So there is no carrying over your Illuvials. There's no stats or anything along those lines. No nothing. This is just or no competition whatsoever. This is just a raw, like, survival-esque experience, from what I understand. And I know in the Discord they had dropped it. There's actually some testing codes coming on through as well, so they're looking to actually get some players to help assist with the bug squashing. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. I don't see a world where this hurts Illuvium Arena whatsoever, considering there is no PvP aspect. If there was a PvP aspect into Primal Tactica, then I would absolutely be a little bit nervous and be a little bit scared that things aren't pivoting over correctly. But that is not the case. It is just a purely PvE experience from what I understand. I anxiously await an official announcement for the game itself, but since the name did get dropped directly in the Illuvium Discord, we don't necessarily have any gameplay footage or anything along those lines to look at just yet, but at least we know the name, and that's going to be Primal Tactica. Hector, good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's get into our next topic here. We've gone over the arena meta. We've gone over the RattyData. So let's talk about Illuvium Deathmatch a little bit here. So, things have been a little bit quieter over the last week here for Deathmatch, which is a little bit concerning considering I feel like I say that phrase basically week after week at this point here. So let's take a look at the RattyData here and pick up on all the stats here. In terms of all-time burns, we have made it past the 600,000 mark, but just barely. Oddly enough, we have only killed off 13,626 Illuvials, which, if you remember back from This Week in Illuvium last week, we were in the 23,000. So things have slowed down rather considerably, a lot less deaths in the last 7 days here. in Deathmatch, and I believe we are going to be seeing a little bit of an activity shift as well in regards to the free mode. Of course, we were, let's see, if it's the 12th today, so we're around here, so we're seeing actually even the free mode. I had made the comment before on last week's show that I was very used to there being 2, maybe 3 lobbies of free mode going at any time. That seems to have crawled right to a halt now, to the point where there is essentially 1, and you're going up against the same person, or the same people rather, pretty much game in and game out. And if you know you're going up against a heavy hitter, you're gonna just sit out. And it seems to be drastically affecting the amount of games played per day, where it's on a little bit of a downtrend here, unfortunately. In terms of the most burned Illuvial lines, let's see, did the Lynx get a break? No, it's right back up top now, apparently. It had 1 week off, but now we're up in the 700s. 723 Lynxes were killed. Then it's pretty much just a bunch of tier 1s with the T-Roo. The very aggressive early game come on through from the T-Roo. Makes it very sought after, it seems. 430 of those killed off. Rye in the 400s as well. Then Rota, Archie, the Lesser Gorilla, the Caribou all in the 300s, and then Tatofi, after having a brutal week last week, are still going to make the top 8, but at least it's not on top this time. In terms of the players that have killed off the most Illuvials this week, A to the G back up here again with over 2,200 Illuvials killed off. Jub short to follow here as well. Megam QX going to be there over 1,000. Then we do see a pretty significant drop here into the 600s here for Matango and Sergio. We do see in the 500s here for Fonz. Trinix and Max05 going to round up our top players in terms of how many Illuvials they've killed over the last 7 days. So Deathmatch definitely in a little bit of an odd spot here, but one thing that I did see that was kind of being teased in the Discord is that the idea of a team-based game mode where it's maybe it's a couple players, or maybe it's 1 player versus 1 player, but the idea of a team-based deathmatch game mode is being worked on, and the idea behind that does seem pretty fun. So I definitely hope that we can see that for Deathmatch coming up sometime soon. It does feel like Deathmatch is in a little bit of an odd spot to where they don't the new car smell kind of wore off a little bit, and everybody has gotten their full of Deathmatch. And we've seen even in the players declining. Actually, I don't think I showed that part off. Let's double check that here as well, and not just trust my word for it. Very similar situation here, slight downtrend, but again, we're only talking about a couple of players over the day. So these bars moving can literally be just a matter of 1 or 2 players at this point. But the main idea, 41 players active over the last 24 hours. And from Deathmatch, we can then take a look into the leaderboards in just a moment's time. Of course, we do, since it is a Wednesday, we do have the reward snapshot going to be coming on through in just a couple of hours. I believe it's about 4 hours until that comes through. And with that, let me start off with Deathmatch so I don't forget it this time. For whatever reason, I always tend to forget the Deathmatch leaderboards. Let's take a look and see who's leading the charge in this week in regards to Deathmatch earnings. So, Monster is going to lead the charge with 29 bucks earned. Free Mode Enjoyer going to be there in second with 25. Halagon 21. Sergio 16. Trinix going to be there with 15, alongside Wolverine also there with 15. Aqua Squawk and Hogan with 13 bucks respectively. Fonz with 12. Money Shot 69 going to be there with 9. If we switch modes and go over to the advanced side of things, has advanced been a little bit more active? That's not a good sign if I believe so. It looks like advanced just has not had matches? Global results? I mean, it would have been from the last 4 days, so there would have been something I would have imagined. But it's not going to show up for me here today, unfortunately. But to go through a couple of the global results, there was a handful of matches a couple of days ago. It looks like the latest match for advanced mode has been about 4 days where we did see Ajax the Bull taking the win there. And we even have, this is actually just making straight up no sense now, because we have some jackpot winners, oddly enough. Hogan and Wolverine winning advanced mode jackpots. But that seems way too small in regards to bones for it to actually be correct. Huh. Something seems a little fishy, I'm not going to lie. Speaking about jackpot winners, though, I'm curious. Oh, maybe this is why it was meant to be in the standard mode for the jackpot winners, but we did see Hogan and Wolverine 2 days ago, oddly enough, both scoring some jackpots. Hector also in the last 7 days has scored one, scored a big one at that as well, with 2,330 bones going their way. So congratulations everybody on winning your jackpots. Now if we go back to the leaderboard and grab the free mode over the last 7 days, Sir Dexter Morgan seems to be leading the charge in terms of bones, with over 16k, almost 17k bones earned. Tipsy going to be right there with 16k as well. Hector almost 16, 15.8 this time. Speaking of A to the G, we were talking about them in regards to how many Illuvials they've killed off. Well, they're at least getting a little bit back for it. So it's going to be A to the G in 4th, just under 15k. This is Chassis MP1, 13.4k. Free mode Enjoyer, appropriately going to be there with 12k alongside Aqua Squawk in 7th. Jub going to be there with 11k in the 8th place. Megam QX going to be there with 15, or not 15, with 10.7k. And last but not least, here in our top 10 for this week in Deathmatch is going to be Gregory Golden, with just under 9,000 bones earned. Congratulations, everybody. Hopefully those turned into some awesome packs for you, or revivals, or whatever it happens to be that you're working towards in Deathmatch. Now let's keep the leaderboards going, as we're going to hop into the current leaderboard for the Illuvium Arena. Let's take a look and see who our top players are as of this moment. We do have 21 Knights currently overthrowing Bart as of this moment, with almost 1,000 points ahead, and it's just due to the raw amount of games that 21 Knight is playing. You can see in the average placement here, compared to Bart from Atlas, the average placement here for 21 Knight is definitely significantly higher. So it's not that they're winning more games, but they are just playing an absolute outrageous amount of games, to the point where they might as well be living on the game. But a fantastic player at their own right, and I'm glad they got the time to be able to keep on doing it. GG's. And rounding up the podium, we've got Badul going to be here in 3rd place. Very, very close to Bart, actually. Those two going neck and neck. Not too far behind is going to be Hector in 4th, alongside Draknyen. Thanatos going to be there in 6th. Antoshino 7th. Nick's Hype going to be 8th. Surfer Dude making the run up to 9th place. Red Jack 00 10th. Turux 11th. Kirito 12th. Kira going to be in 13th. Coyote Hype 14th. Ajax going to be there in 15th. Texan going to be 16th. And Droa 17th. Ochimaru, that's a new name, at least to me. Saw them on the arena for the first time. Well, they're definitely no newcomer. Going to be there in 18th. Then we have Matter1, who is, I believe, a relatively newcomer over the last month or so. Good to see them up on the board. And then Goofy Rampfire going to round up top 20. And it's kind of hidden by my news bar, but I am here, and I'm just at the 33rd spot as of this moment. I gotta get to work on my stream tomorrow for getting back into that top 30. In terms of Illuvium Beyond, has there been any sort of movement? There isn't usually, but let's take a look and see if there's any movement within the top 10. It is going to be Alexa still leading the charge, alongside Final Boss, Leader Cola, Hector from Mad Dogs, Jub, Samsara, Hyper Hunter, Bondaddy Ratty, Steve-O, and McSign. Absolutely no movement whatsoever in the top 10. The earliest spot where we do start seeing moves is when we get towards that 24th mark, where we're seeing Caitlyn Jenner and Mortis making the biggest move, it looks like. Now let's hop on over to the Illuvium Zero side of things in terms of fuel burnt. How much pricing are the players playing for today? It had a couple of lower payouts in regards to the Ethereum. It looks like it's going to be right back to where it normally is, with a 0.1 Ethereum pricing. Though we are going to have Teresa, to the surprise of nobody, going to be continuing to lead the charge in terms of fuel burnt. Sergio right behind them, though, with Yabeezer, the Confident Fiery, we have Gankin Way going to be in 5th. Test 001, Winx, Bora, and JQT going to round up the top 10. JQT, that's a new one to me, so someone new possibly cracking the boards here. Again, just under 4 hours here before the leaderboards do finalize, and you can get your prizes in fuel or whatever the format happens to be. Congratulations, everybody, though, for pushing so far here this week. All right, let's get a refresh here before we hop into our top sales of the week. All right, let's get into it right here, right now. Top 25 sales in regards to the Illuvials, the creatures themselves. We're going to start off with $11 here for this Exalted Earth Tipo. Whenever I see a Dark Hollow like this, I always assume Deathmatch, and then I take a look at the player, and I confirm this was probably Deathmatch. Free Mode Enjoyer going to be picking up this beautiful Tipo, although it's probably dead. We have a couple of Lynxes coming on through to follow things up right around that $12 mark. That's going to be Hogan picking one up, Free Mode Enjoyer, and Hogan picking up a second. So Hogan and Free Mode, congrats on that one. We see a relatively competitive Hollow Furiox. That's a beautiful, beautiful Snakey coming on through here for just over $12. That's going over to Sergio. Nice one, Sergio. A very nice Dual F, 80 TPI onto this one. Being able to pick that up for $12 is an absolute steal, in my opinion. Surfer Dude, congratulations. That's incredible. Dark Hollow onto this Dash. It's not a competitive one, so I imagine this went to Deathmatch. We have the Curinator, oddly enough, gonna be picking up that one just over 12. Sometimes it's just better not to ask questions. We do have an almost perfect Gyro. It's just missing HP for just over $12. This one's going to Akabono. Congratulations. A perfect Axon, just over $12 here, going on over to Hogan. Beautiful pickup, Hogan. Perfect Illuvials continue. This heady 99 TPI onto this one. Still a level 1, but for just under $15. Hogan beefing up the tank line. Nice pickup there, Hogan. Do they continue? Nope, this is Akabono this time. A nearly competitive setup Gazotep. 90 TPI onto this one. It's almost level 60 already. That's absolutely gorgeous. $15 for that one. Very, very nice. We have a Dark Hollow Exalted Water Valente coming on through here for $16. This one went over to Free Mode Enjoyer, so this one's probably dead. We do have a perfect Rye going for just over $16. Anon going to be picking up that one. Lesser Nature Valente, it is nearly level 60. It is almost perfect. That's an incredible little Valente. And Mr. Cat going to be picking that one up for just under $17. Familiar, nearly perfect as well. Just missing some HP, missing some attack damage. But it is already level 60, so this thing will absolutely fly in the arena. And Hogan going to be piloting that one. Congratulations once again, here Hogan. And that is a beautiful, almost perfect Hollow Vermilier as well for almost $19. Doom going to be picking up that one. All right, JB, good to have you once again. Of course, have a fantastic rest of the day. Talk to you sometime soon, I'm sure. Axodon going to be here with this Dark Hollow variant. Just under $20, going over to Sastrasi MP1, which means this probably went to Deathmatch. We have a Goliant. It is almost perfect on the tanky side of things. Missing attack damage, but that's okay. It's a tank. You can get away with that for just under $20. That's going over to Hogan. A competitive Ready Lura, level 60, $21 here, going over to Mr. Cat. Mr. Cat loading up on a handful of very nice Illuvials. We get to our top 6 now, where we're going to see a couple of Dark Hollow Lynxes. The middle stage evolutions coming through this time. We're seeing a 29 TPI one going for about $23. Hogan picking up the Dark Hollows. In fact, yeah, they got both of them this time as well. They got the Nimble Lynx here, but that one just over 24. How about this Exalted Nature Grocko, also a Dark Hollow, and loaded up on Omega Power, so this Grocko can jump for just under 25. This one over to the free mode enjoyer. This thing's probably not jumping anymore, unfortunately. We do then have a perfectly defensive Scoriox and nearly perfect offensive one here as well. Level 4690 TPI for about 35 bucks. This one going over to 21 Knight. Is this the damn snake that's been kicking my rear in Arena as of late? That is probably it. So nicely done there, 21 Knight. We do have the Virtuous Floor Links, a Dark Hollow one coming on through 58 TPI, 47 bucks going over to Hogan. Beautiful, beautiful links. And last but not least, the biggest sale of the last 7 days was made 3 days ago, where we are seeing almost a perfect Octius that also happens to be level 60. So it is right out of the gate, ready for competition for $71. This one went over to Anon. Congratulations. From there, we can go over to the Illuvium Zero lands, and I'll tell you what, we've got a little bit of action actually happening this week, to the point where I've got 2 bars full of land sales. Let's take a look and see who picked up some awesome plots to add to their collection. We have a tier 1 plot going for like $9. My goodness, what a steal, Endearing Valente. Congratulations on your Abyssal Basin slot. For just under 30 bucks, we do have a serial number. Somebody didn't have any creativity when making a username, but nonetheless, happy to see you. Going to be getting this spot here with Abyssal Basin for just under 30. Crystal Shores and for 33. This one going over to the Affectionate Riptor. So probably a newcomer into the Illuvium universe. Good to see you. Enjoy your Crystal Shores plot. We have a couple of Abyssal Basin plots coming through here at tier 2, $90 for each of these. The Lustful Dash going to be picking up one, and the Confident Tipo going to be picking up another. How about Taiga Boreal here? First time we're going to be breaking the hundreds here for a tier 2 in a little bit. Taiga going on over to Gregory Golden. Congratulations, Gregory. Crimson Waste for $109 here. Honestly, that looks like essentially a perfect plot when it comes to the fuel and then the extractor that you need to actually get it. So that is a pretty sick one here for Crimson Waste. The Outgoing Singe picking up a nice one. If we move things on up here, we see the Lustful Dash for 167, picking up a spot here at Abyssal Basin. How about over to Halcyon Sea, where we're going to start breaking the 200s, a rather high price for the tier 2 as of late, but that one's going to be picked up by Zizzo. Zizzo, congratulations on your Halcyon Sea spot. Then our top 3 is going to be us breaking into the tier 3. Sergio adding another one into the mix here with an awesome spot at Taiga Boreal. The Outgoing Singe is going to be picking up yet another one here, picking up a tier 3 for themselves, a Crimson Waste. And then one more time here for Crimson Waste, our most expensive Illuvial, our most expensive Illuvium land plot over the last 7 days for $280 going on over to the Outgoing Singe. So Outgoing Singe picking up 3 plots for their collection over the last couple days. Congratulations to Outgoing Singe and everybody for their new lands. Build them up as best as possible. I know there's not a whole heck of a lot that we can do with Illuvium Zero as of right now. You're essentially just kind of farming blueprints and then maybe burning fuel. But hopefully we'll have some more fun and some more enjoyable things that we can use those lands for in the somewhat near future. One can hope. Next topic I'm going to be going over is the Community Rescue. Of course, we had a handful of awesome Rangers donating some Illuvials after last week's House League, so a massive thank you to everybody who did that. It definitely gave us a massive shot up into keeping the Community Rescue prizing for House League nice and full. I'm going to fire off an updated version of the Community Rescue page right here as it stands. The biggest things that are still missing, or the things that are in the red rather, or at least that should be in the red, there we go. So the phosphorus is still going to be missing. That's our biggest ticket item. We have the the one available, but that is it as it stands right now. We are actually, oddly enough, in need of a greater air tipo. Did give a couple of those ones off in the last community rescue prizings, but now we're back down to one. But I have faith that either myself or potentially another community member could help me with this one, with it being a tier 0. But then these two might be a little bit more difficult. We seem to be missing the Exalted Earth Graco and the Exalted Fire Doka. Those ones keeping us out of range here from having essentially a perfect case of everything, so to speak. Because, of course, again, for those that may not be aware, the Silence House Community Rescue, this has basically two purposes. As a part of the Illuvium Arena House League, we do give packs thanks to Illuvium themselves, again, for supplying the skulls that then get used to open the packs for Illuvium Arena House League. But outside of the packs, people can still be trying to chase certain specific Illuvials, especially in the Caribou Cup, but it does get offered to all divisions now. And the Community Rescue helps you build that collection, level up, and just, again, fill out your living decks just by playing the game. That's the goal behind it. And then a secondary potential thing is if breeding ever gets entered into Illuvium or the Illuvium universe, and we need to have 2 parents to enable the breeding, and it's not like done by blueprints or something like that, I would need 2 of everything to make sure that we keep every single species alive, and that deathmatch or something along those lines doesn't make a certain alluvial species go extinct. So that's the purpose here behind the Silence House Community Rescue. There is a separate account for that. Don't throw it into mine. There is one called Silent Events. It's the one that I use for all of the House League prizing. That account does not go into Deathmatch to compete. It doesn't go into the Illuvidex. It doesn't go into Arena. It is just strictly a storage space. So if you do wish to fire off a donation that way, it absolutely would be incredible, but of course completely optional. So if you can, that'd be awesome. But again, don't force yourself by any means. Then last but not least, of course, is House League in particular. House League, we have gotten to House League week number 20, which is absolutely incredible. Again, big thank you to everybody for being a part of it for the first 20 weeks, and I'd love to keep pushing for more. Even again, if the Obelisk Rising playtest, or even when Obelisk Rising is out, we are still, at least my intention, is going to be to continue to push House League here in the arena. The big change that I want to make note of first and foremost, the Caribou Cup, the newcomer division that we have for Illuvium Arena House League, is now going to be played in casual mode settings. This way, everybody has the opportunity to play at an even playing field, but still get the opportunity to grow their collection through packs and through the community rescue as well. And with it as well, I'm also going to be removing the forced graduation, so to speak. Because there's a few players that unfortunately got put in a very, very awkward spot where they might be new to the game. They have that one team that they've leveled up, but they are missing basically everything. And they were forced to go into Lynx League because they were too powerful because of that one team for Caribou Cup. And just the overall power level of Caribou Cup for it being an entry-level division was just too damn strong. So, what we're going to end up doing, Caribou Cup will now be a casual mode, or a casual lobby, so there's no stats and no ownership taken into consideration. It is just raw gameplay, which means as long as you're practiced and as long as you've been playing the game and you have things go your way during the match, anybody who plays in Caribou Cup could be the winner that week, and it's not determined by your stats. And then, of course, you aren't going to be kicked out of it. So if there was somebody who was playing in Lynx League before, or heck, even one of our Monarch Masters, for example, if they just felt like playing Caribou Cup for some reason, playing casual that week, then they could technically do so, and there is no difference in terms of the Illuvials that are there. Why would somebody do that, though, is going to be another question, though. Because we have completely eliminated the Lynx League in this instance, because I figure, just to keep it simple, Caribou Cup will be the casual mode, Monarch Masters will be ownership on. And as a part of that, Monarch Masters will just have more matches as a part of it. Think of Monarch Masters as its own separate league of sorts with different main events here. That's why you'll see I have the B main and the A main, for an example, for this week coming up. But I would love to go through more, and I'm no longer going to be super stressed about getting, say, a complete lobby of 8 before moving on. I want to try and make it so that these matchups for ownership are as close as possible. However, the higher division you're in, the better the prizes is going to be. So let's say in an instance where we have 3 lobbies of Monarch Masters and we have a C main, the packs, there is still going to be prizes for it, but it's going to be considerably smaller compared to, say, then the B main. Like, if you win C main, you get 4 packs. But if you come in 3rd in the B main, you can get 5. And then if you're in the best lobby possible, the strongest lobby for the A main, get 3rd, and then you get 8th. One thing that I did actually add as well is a little bit of a wild card pack here. 4th, of course, if you're in a ranked game mode, is a +1 to your rating for the most part. So I've made it in all of the, every single match, this is in Caribou Cup now as well, that whoever gets 4th gets 1 pack. How crazy would it be if that 1 pack was able to be the biggest hit of the day? So just make the top half, and you're going to be getting a little bit of something. And of course, like I was saying before, community rescue prizing extends to every division now, as long as it makes sense. Like, there's going to be certain players that are, like, have their collections in, say, Monarch Masters, where the only thing they need is a Phosphorus, Dual F, and a Fisto. I might not be able to get you that right away, so to speak. But if there happens to be somebody in the Monarch Masters that are missing a couple tier 0s, or some of the other Illuvials while they're growing their collection, we can help you too now. Yeah, 5 months of this, eh? We're still going. The power scaling was difficult. I think this way is fair to everybody. Went through hell in the Lynx League. Yeah, I know in your case in particular, it was, you'd be one of those limbo players, in my opinion. We saw this with yourself. We saw this with, say, Matter One and Kira as well, where they would kill in the Caribou Cup, but then get killed in Lynx League. So it's like, what do we do? I think this is probably our best option here. So when you're signing up now for the for House League, you'll get a choice of whether or not you want to play Monarch Masters or not, or Monarch Masters or Caribou Cup. You right now cannot select both, because what I'm going to do, like, put yourself in, if you want to play Monarch Masters, like, put yourself in for Monarch Masters. But if I don't have a good fit for your collection and your, like, your power level, I might go out of my way and ask you, hey, like, it's going to be a little bit of a tough one. You can stay in this tough lobby and try to shoot for the higher prizing, or I have a Caribou Cup opening that you can fill if you would like. I'll give you the choice in that instance there. So if you do want to have the option for both, just make sure you have Monarch Masters picked up first. Monarch Masters will be selected first if I see it on your registration. So I'm very excited to get through this with the new setup here for House League. There's just more prizing as well. I think over the last couple of weeks, we've been giving out, say, 48 packs worth of Illuvials. This setup as it stands right now, if we do get a 3rd lobby of Monarch Masters, bumps it up to like 60 packs worth of Illuvials. So there's still plenty of room for everybody to level up their collection. just by playing the game. And that's just talking about packs. Once again, I had mentioned before, community rescues available to everybody for just participating. So would love to have you. Link for registration is in the description on the YouTube side of things, and it's also in the Discord if you are looking to compete. We'll be doing this Friday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern or 7:30 p.m. UTC. Now, how about our recap from last week? We had a very exciting week last week. And we have our results right here. Of course, with the Caribou Cup, Awaken now as a part of Mad Dogs. The Beast has been unleashed, and they've gotten themselves a first place, their first victory in House League. Ethan and Robert Tacho short to follow. Valiant efforts for the two. Then the Mad Dogs continue to go through the board here. We see another one here with Illuvium Hunter, now known as just Hunter here, getting the Lynx League victory with Coyote Hype right there, and then a fellow teammate, Monster, coming through as well. And then, of course, the bump was taken there for Awaken, and they got themselves all the way to 4th. That's a nice, valiant efforts there. Matter, Kira, and Vermin Bond, aka Bond Daddy Ratty's 90 plus TPI exclusive account, 7th with Ethit, rounding up in 8th. Then for the Monarch Masters, we saw Texan take the win over Hector from Mad Dogs and Thanatos. So we have all of your prizes to open here. What we'll do for now, as always, in case you're here for the first time, we're going to open up the packs in order from top to bottom here through Deathmatch, where I will then send those Illuvials to the Silent Events wallet. And then tomorrow I will go through all of the opened Illuvials and send them into your inventories, so you'll have them in time for the next league if you would like. Because of course, once you get your Illuvials, it's up to you what you want to do with them. I'm not going to tell you how to use them one way or another. Then Awake Darkness, or I gotta stop doing that. Awaken is going to be first here. Yes, so let's get started there. One caveat here as well, all the community rescue prizing. We're going to open the Illuvials. I'm open Illuvials in Illuvial packs. I'm going to send it to the wallet. We'll send the Illuvials from the packs to the players first. Then once that is done, I'm going to rescan everybody and then see what you're missing. Because what I would hate is, say for Awaken's case here, if I were to give you, let's just say an Atlas or something along those lines. I know it's small, but just for the example. If I were to get you an Atlas, send it to you right now, but then you opened one up in a pack, it's just wasted points. So I want to send the community rescue stuff after all of the packs have been opened and sent. Again, good luck to everybody. This will be a very, very fun and exciting one. With Awaken starting us off, we have 3 packs coming your way. Let's see if I can get this situated. There we go. Switch back over. All right, then. 3, 2, 1. I broke it. Wait for it. Is it not going to come out now? Back. There you are. That's better. All right, Awaken Mad Dogs. We have 3 packs coming your way right here, right now. No more delay. Let's load them up. Good luck. Let's see what we can get ya. Do we start things off with a bang? Hell, that's not too bad, actually. A little ebb going to be coming on through. 74 TPI onto that beauty. We do have an Arcane Lynx that is a holo. Very, very nice, my opinion. A Fern that's going to be a tier 4 getting picked up. How about our second row here? Any standouts for some of these lower tiers? That's a nice Tiru, actually. 83 TPI onto that little root. Then in our last section down here, looks like a bunch of tier 0s and tier 1s, but that's okay. The biggest standouts here for Awakens Illuvial packs going to be that Tiru alongside the Ebb. Congratulations once again here, Awaken. These Illuvials will be coming your way tomorrow morning. And like I had mentioned before, once you have them, it's up to you what to do with them. Whatever you want to do. You won't offend me. All right. And then once again, congratulations on your first win in House League. A few units to be replaced. Hell yeah, that's what I love to hear. Mark those in yellow so we know that we're opened. The one additional thing to note here for, I think, Awaken in particular, since you hit the top 4 in Lynx League, there is a good chance, because since the community rescue stuff is done by participation, having you win this twice would be I would consider doubling up and kind of not feeling right. However, a 4th place is on the top half. So what I think I'll actually do here for this time, because you got the double, we'll get you up to 12 total. And then we saw something similar here for EFIT. Yeah, as a thank you for helping fill out the lobby and taking the bump up, I think what we'll do for EFIT as well is add an additional point into the community rescue. There. Yeah, something like that. So speaking of EFIT, let's go for it. All right, EFIT. Absolutely crushing it in Caribou Cup as of late. First and second seem to be the norm, and it's to the point where I think we've almost got this collection of theirs pretty well completed. It's just a couple of heavy hitters. Can we maybe find one of those heavy hitters right here, right now? Make sure the bug goes away. There we go. All good. EFIT, 2 packs coming on through. And of course, there's the community rescue prizing coming a little bit later. Good luck, have fun. Let's see what we can score. Kuka Rafts for days. We've got 2 of them. 68 TPI Kuka Raft, a 64 TPI Kuka Raft. We got Birdos all over the place. 81 TPI onto that Caribou. That's a pretty nice one as well. The double birds plus the Caribou going to be the standouts. Once again, congratulations, EFIT, on your 2nd place and your new Illuvials. Zexy, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Catching up with chat a little bit here. Let's not wait until next week with the ramp fire. That'd definitely be crazy. Oh, and you're very welcome. You're doing me the favor at the end of the day by taking the bump up. And I think I'm going to need to rely on that a little bit as well for House League in its current iteration, the reworked version. Because the lobbies, as they stand right now, I can see a lot of instances where I have, say, 5 or 6 player lobbies. So if anybody during House League is willing to take that bump, like, I'm going to go through, like, offer it in order. But maybe that's what I'll do. Where if you do help me by filling up the lobby by taking the bump up, maybe I'll add a couple additional points to the community rescue. And if there's something I can do to help you, we can get you a little bit more. I think that's one way we can do that. All right, so ETH, it's all set. We'll send those over very, very shortly. Or very, very shortly. We'll send over tomorrow morning. Next up, Robert Tacho. I know they're just itching for a couple more of those tier 5s. Would be very dramatic if we can get them the upgrade here today. But we don't have a lot of shots at actually doing it. This is a single pack going over to Robert Tacho for a 3rd place finish. They were trying their damnedest to make Shock work, and I definitely respect the hell out of them for it. So they tried Shock Mud last week, I think. That was really risky. But I love the idea. Since you haven't been playing much, but you'll play this Friday, that's awesome. We'll happily have you. Don't know your ILV score? It does not matter whatsoever. Because when signing up, make sure you choose either Monarch Masters if you want to play with ownership on, or pick Caribou Cup if you're looking for an ownership off experience. The prizes are better in ownership on, but if you want to play without worrying about which Illuvials you have and their levels, Caribou Cup will be your best bet. Alright, Robert Tacho. Good luck. Let's see, 1 pack. Gonna be a good one. It's going to be a little bit of a middle of the road. We do have a pretty nice arcane links, all things considered. Hate the fact that it... Well, I guess it can't necessarily go off the tree just yet. But some more Illuvials coming your way, Robert Tacho. Might not have been a killer, but still, congratulations on your 3rd place in last week's event. I feel like I'm missing some here. Oh, there they are. Let's say, packs are 8 Illuvials, right? Alright. So the Caribou Cup from last week has been completed. Now we gotta hop on over to one of our Mad Dogs, which I do also want to give a shout out over here to the past House League winners. With the closure of the Lynx League as we know it, this of course means we can't add any more tallies in terms of wins on the Lynx League, which means that Hunter from Mad Dogs is the most winningest player in Lynx League history. So congratulations there, Hunter. Short to follow, Zico Perico. Big shout out to Zico Perico for that as well. They especially absolutely killed it early on. But then they technically graduated into Monarch, so they couldn't continue to defend. Well, with that, let's see what we can score here for Hunter. There are 7 packs coming on through here for Hunter. Locked and loaded. Let's see what we can get. Good luck, Hunter. All right, pop it on open. It's going to be the Riptor. It's being shown as the biggest hitter here. It's a middle stage evolution there for you. Tier 3. The Lura, 79 TPI onto that guy. Not too bad. How about this next one? We do see a ramp fee, but it is going to be rather low in terms of the TPI side of things. Only 10%. But that's our first tier 5 sighting here for the day. 78 TPI onto that Lynx. If that is correct, that is a full offensive one. Nice attack speed and attack damage onto that one, if that's correct. Oh, 6-7 Grocco. Gotta call it out. There it is. Any other standouts? That seems to be it. So a little bit of a quieter pack here, but still some awesome Illuvials coming the way of Hunter. And congratulations once again for the victory and being the most winningest player in the Lynx League. Wow, Lynx League was up. at least I can scroll on the screen today. Remember last week when I was trying to do all of this in small bits because I couldn't scroll? So thank you to the team for fixing that. Oh, am I seeing this correctly? There we go. Ethan with the invite over to the Mad Dogs. How about that? Hector not only showing us what they got in terms of the arena themselves, but now kind of taking a bit of a team owner position. That's really cool. Wish we saw more of that. In fact, I do have an idea for something, but I would need some big-time community help for it. Remind me after the prizing, otherwise I might just go into a ramble. But all I gotta say is the whole guild thing, I kind of want to play into it a little bit more. So let's talk about that a little bit afterwards. Coyote hype. An incredible battle in the Lynx League as well. Going to round up second this time. And with that, there is 5 packs coming your way, Coyote hype. Locked and loaded. 5 in the chamber. We're still looking for a winner. The ebb that came up earlier for Awaken, I think, is probably the biggest standout so far. Does Coyote hype change this? Let's take a look. We do see a Riley, 60 TPI, Fury, 52. A hollowed out Caradulox, or Cardilox, that's a pretty nice one. Nonetheless, fully evolved hollow. TPI is a little lackluster, but still for the sake of a collection, that's still very, very cool. 78 TPI onto that lesser Gorilla. Any other major standouts here? 77 onto that lesser Fire Grotto. And that is basically it. So the Riley is going to be the biggest hitter in terms of TPI, plus their evolved rarity, the Fury, and then the Caradulox, or Cardilox. I keep mixing... Oh, hang on a second. How about that Lynx? I completely glossed over that Lynx. 86 TPI onto that Lynx. It's an absolute beauty. Okay, there's a couple standouts here. Congratulations, Coyote hype. Silent Mad Dogs. Oh, no, it wouldn't be me joining a team. Because I like to think of myself as chaotic neutral, so to speak. Where if you need me, I'll help anybody. But I don't want to help someone hurt someone, if that makes sense. So, like, in terms of competitions, I'll stay out of it. But it'd definitely be kind of cool. Stoked about actions. A nice Flish. Oh, did I completely miss a godlike Fleesh? A 93 TPI Fleesh. Hell yeah, there we go. Which one was that? That would be up here, right? Oh, there you go. A lesser Air Flish. 93 TPI. That's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Congratulations. Back to work on the BMW. Good luck. That's awesome. Alright, so Coyote hype is set and good to go. We'll send them off to you tomorrow morning. Monster. We'll get to you here up next. Zexy, yes, I can do that in just a second. In fact, if you happen to have the stream open still, it's in the description of this stream, but I can still go quickly and grab that for you, 100%. Let's see. And then for Ethan, now that I know that your Discord just hasn't been active because of some sort of support issue, I will also push that. I will, I'll see what I can do to get that in front of some people's eyes. I didn't realize it was a different kind of issue here. Okay. Registration page just hopping on through here. And then we'll get back to here. All right. All right, Monster. After a very valiant effort once again in the Lynx League, we have a 3rd place finish, which for this week means that is going to be 3 packs in your way. Let's see what we can get you. Good luck, and it is going to be TB Ruko, going to be the top one as of this moment. 77 TPI onto that big fella. We got a Baby Mammoth, 70 TPI onto that here as well. We do got the Heady, 73 TPI onto that. Exalted Fire Valente, that's actually a surprisingly rare pickup there. 73 TPI onto that tier 0. 86 TPI onto that Archie. That's a nice Archie. Any other big standouts here? That looks like that is going to be it for that one. So once again, Monster, congratulations on the Illuvials. Congratulations on the podium. Looking forward to seeing you and everybody else, of course, as always, once again on the battlefield sometime soon. All right, then we'll jump down the board a little bit. Majority of this here is all community rescue, which I will deal with after the fact. Which then means we're with Texan. Did I miss another good one? Sheesh. My eyes are absolutely deceiving me today. So Texan returned and is back on top here in a Monarch Masters lobby. And with that, that means we have 11 packs in the chamber here. Best odds in terms of getting something big. So many packs on the table. Let's see what we can get you here, Texan. The fully evolved Mammoth is going to be the biggest pull here, and that one is good on TPI as well. If that chart is correct, that's max HP and max Omega power. That would be remarkable. An 85 TPI Fern also being a part of this pack. A 91 TPI Winx as well. 81 TPI onto that Vermilia. Couple fantastic Illuvials to start this one off. Are there anything else? Maybe some of these lower tiers. 78 TPI onto that Greater Air Graco. 83 TPI onto that Atlas. And I think that is the biggest hitter, or the big hitters, so to speak, of the low tiers. That is where we'll end up going. A little hollow to send us off here, but a couple of awesome Illuvials here for Texan once again. But congratulations once again on the win and on all these awesome Illuvials there, Texan. I tried my best to slow down and not miss anything that time. This definitely be a process. 88 challengers. We'll send those off. Considering there's so many of them, just takes another moment. There we go. All right, Hector. It's time for the boss. Got 9 packs in the chamber here. Hector has been so close at scoring their first... Or is it their first win? Maybe the first in a while. Yeah, I think it'd be their first Monarch Masters win, because you've always been participating in Monarch. So close. A couple of seconds over the last little bit. Wolverine, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Actually signed up for Monarch. Easier for Heat at the hit number 1. Hey, whatever works. Gladly have you on board. Looking forward to seeing you Friday, absolutely. Alright, Hector. Second place once again. That means there's 9 in the chamber. $72 Illuvials coming on through. Good luck, Hector. Let's see what we can get you. Well, how about a rake? That is going to be a 61 TPI rake. Jokol coming on through here as well. 6-7 Seaforest coming on through. So, awesome little snail coming on into this one. We do have a Rampy, and then 82 TPI Exalted Air Doka. That's a nice little find there. We're also going to have a pretty awesome set of hollows. We do see the 69... 6769. Yeah, it's one of those days, apparently. Exalted Air Valente, hollowed out. Absolutely gorgeous. Hollowed out Flare to add to the collection here as well. Let's see, a couple of Illuvials in the 70s, like a couple baby Lynxes. Any sort of standouts. A little bit rough on the lower TPI front. But that is alright. There are still so many awesome Illuvials into this one. Including, of course, the Rampy, the Dokas, and the 2 Hollows. That is a pretty awesome pull, if I do say so myself. Congratulations once again, Hector. I remember seeing in the Discord as well that you're looking to level up your Tier 0 collection, if I recalled correctly. I saw you trying to trade some of them. I went through my collection to see if there was something I could trade you, but I just don't have anything high enough TPI extra. But who knows? Might not necessarily be a TPI upgrade, but we have at least a couple of hollows to make it nice and flashy for you. 72, send to wallet. Send them up. You're very welcome. The lovely Doka, absolutely. And yeah, a hollow stage 3 in general is just incredible. But that one actually had pretty decent TPI as well. Pretty cool. Alright, we have one more. Last but not least, Thanatos. Went for the Rogues, trying to contest Hector a little bit. Got the short end of the stick, but if the short end ends up on the podium, then I mean, is it really that bad? You got the on the podium, another valiant effort. And with that, Thanatos has 7 packs coming on through next. The last opening of the day. All right, Thanatos, let's see. Good luck with your pulls. We are going to be able to give Thanatos 66 TPI Rip Lance joining us here today, but an absolute gorgeous Archos. Look at this all the way over in the corner. 94 TPI. I think that is the highest TPI we've hit here today. Nice little backline support. This thing is an absolute unit. Flare coming on through as well. Low TPI, but still a rare find. Couple exalted tier zeros here as well. Any other standouts? Hollow Grocco, the Nature Grocco. 70 TPI onto that lesser Water Valente. But that's basically going to be the gist of it. So the Rip Lance is definitely a standout. Furiox and Gnarl showing up. I mean, that's pretty cool as well. But that Archos is definitely the highlight here for me. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous turtle. I mean, I don't know Thanatos as somebody that would play corner or anything like that, but heck, you got an absolute staple right there with that Archos now, if that's something that they did want to do. $856, send them off. All right, there we go. Let's mark it down. So all of the packs here, or rather all the packs for this week have been opened up and are going to be getting sent out tomorrow morning. Once that has been done, then I'll go through the community rescue, see what you're missing, see if there's a way that we can help you. For some people, I might not have what you're looking for, or there's not something that I can just give out, or you just straight up have a full collection already and you wouldn't be eligible. That's a good problem, though, in my opinion. So, for those that I can absolutely assist, the community rescue will be there to try and fill in some of the gaps onto your team. But that was pretty fun all around. Big thank you again to everybody for tuning into this week at Illuvium. News-wise, we're essentially all set, but I do want to yap a little bit of an idea that I've been currently having. So I had touched on during this week in Illuvium here that I want to get team play or guild play, some sort of event or something along those lines, kind of like showcase it a little bit more, because we do have it still around. Like I see, in particular, I see Mad Dogs a ton, I see Hype a ton, but other than that, it's very, very few and far between. Like I know Phantom does exist, but barely. And then the last time that I've seen, like if I'm looking at my results page right now, the last time I've seen any other team would have been Wildfire from back in July. So, like, I know there's basically just two teams as of right now. And then Hype's been around for a while. Mad Dogs, it's been around for a bit, but it's really started to grow as of the last month or so, or last couple weeks even. But I kind of want to endorse more team play here. So an idea that's been coming to my mind is actually something that I used to do when I would tournament organize for Super Smash Bros. Players. I want to do a crew battle. So what I would do in Smash is basically everybody, the team would have a shared life pool. And they would essentially have start off with one player. The one player loses their 3 lives, and the next player comes in, so to speak. That wouldn't necessarily work for Illuvium. However, if we were to, say, have a lobby where there was... I mean, best case scenario would be these lobbies would have 8 teams. So there was one representative from each team. That would be kind of cool, in my opinion here. And then have multiple lobbies where the teammates are spread out. That way you don't have team kills or like people from the same team playing each other until the very end. It's something that I've been kind of theory crafting. I'm curious if anybody in the chat has any ideas as to how that we can handle this. Because I figure the teams don't need to be big. Like, they can be 3-player teams. And then, like, have a system where, let's say there was 4 teams, for example. Let's say we had Mad Dogs, Pipe. We had, say, Lay and Phantom. What if there was just 2 players from each team into a lobby? And then not only would the players be playing for not just themselves, but team points. Something along those lines. I feel like it'd be really interesting. I would love to have more than one lobby of this going. But even if it was just, say, one lobby, it'd be points not just for the player, but then it goes towards the team as a whole. You could probably do this very similar to what we do in, like, the RattyData events, for example. Make it like a best of 3, a best of 3. So there, you'd have a leader in terms of individual players, but then you add on teams as well. And it would just be a matter of how would you actually get the, or the prizes be for the teams. You can tell this is still very early in my thoughts, but at the end of the day, the thing that I want to take away here from this is that I want to have some sort of team versus team competition sometimes in the future. I know it's very quiet right now, and like, say Phantom, I think there might be only 1 player from Phantom playing. Wildfire might not be playing that often. OLA I haven't seen in a very, very long time. I think the last player I saw was Sandy, and that was maybe a couple weeks ago. But I also would love to encourage people to make a new one. Just kind of get into the idea of working together before we get Obelisk Rising out there. So when the MMO comes out, you have a team that you're already looking to squad up with. That's kind of my idea behind it. Then me personally, of course, I'm just the freelancer. I'm the chaotic neutral one, where it doesn't matter who wants me in their party, I'll gladly join. But if it's a competition, then I'd bow out. Yeah, that's kind of some of the ideas going through my mind. Something I'd absolutely love to do sometime in the near future. But with that, that's basically it for today's episode. Again, big thank you to everybody for tuning in. That is not the last stream for this week. Of course, I have my tryhard ranked stream happening tomorrow. And then I also have, of course, Illuvium Arena House League, the reworked one, going to be happening, of course, on Friday. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing all of you as competing in the battlefield once again. Again, on the YouTube side of things, the link for that registration is in the description of the video. See how many of you do we have so far as of this moment. Let's quickly take a look. We were at 8. I think we're up to 9 now. So far, so good. With it looks like pretty much a 50-50 between Caribou Cup and Monarch Masters. So far, so good. But I know the majority of people tend to sign up on the final day, on the Friday itself, once they know for sure they can play or not. So, looking forward to it. Should be a fun day once again. And then hopefully we'll be in for some additional fun as well as Arena continues to be updated. And then, of course, with the Obelisk Rising playtest, that should be coming around the corner sometime relatively soon. So hopefully we'll be able to get into that sometime soon. Hopefully we can stream it. I'd love to be able to play that and showcase all of that to everybody. but still a ways to go. But without further ado, one more time, thank you all for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and whether it be in the deathmatch pit or in the arena itself. Good luck with your matches. Good luck on your training. I'll see you tomorrow.